I would like to try to share my journey thus far. This is mostly the result of my having practiced clearing for 36 years, and how I think this has affected my outlook on life. This is not an easy subject to talk about, partly because it is difficult to be objective about one's own life, and partly because of the place I perceive myself to be now, which in many ways is very different to the place where you perceive yourself to be. But then we are all a little different in obvious or subtle ways. I cannot overemphasize just how significant our early childhood years are. We are programmed subconsciously to follow a certain path. Along that path we will be judged by others who find our behavior lacking according to their values. Yet did we have a choice in how we behaved? Surely we were victims to a past that no other person really understands. So how can we be judged when we were simply victims to our conditioned past? For most of us it is not possible to see ourselves objectively, so deep into the story are we that the story itself is what runs our thoughts, our feelings, our relationships to others and the world around us. Others who are also lost in their story blame us for our, in their eyes, shortcomings. I was born into a middle-class family. My parents were not religious people, so I was not brought up believing in any religion. I did go to Sunday school once or twice, but it just did not resonate with me on any level. My father commented on my being different. Just what this difference was never explained, and I was too young to even guess at what he meant. I remember being 5 years old, looking out of the window, waiting for the postman. Why would a 5-year-old be waiting for the postman? I suspect now that I was waiting for my ticket out. As a result of my childhood, I was a very anxious boy, and later an anxious young man, and later still an older man, still deeply anxious. Anxiety is a curse and limits so much of any thoughts or actions we may take, and can often be the reason others judge us. What can we do? We are just victims to a conditioning so profound that our entire lives are a result of our past. When I was 14 years old, I questioned our very religious headmaster at school. If he was teaching religion, why did he not include Buddhism? That went straight over his head. But where did that come from? How was I even able to think of asking such a question? This was the beginning of the difference my father spoke of. I eventually got my ticket out and relocated to Australia. Could I get any further away from home? Distance was not important though. What was important was that I needed to be away from an environment that had my life planned out for me without my even realizing it. I needed to find myself, not what my society expected me to be. After a lot of adventures, still carrying around high-level anxiety, I was introduced to clearing. At the time it was a great way to earn living, but as I developed my practice, I came to a very different understanding of what was happening whenever I cleared a space or a home. This led to my working with people, clearing any build-up of charge they carried, which was affecting their lives in a negative way. You cannot do this work for long before it becomes obvious that most, if not all, of what you feel is simply information passing through your awareness. None of the feelings or even thoughts truly belong to you. You begin this path by stepping into an environment and notice how it affects the body. Then step out of that particular energy and notice the body relaxing again. So step in, feel the change, step out, the body relaxes. This was happening so much that it became increasingly obvious that I was not the feelings I was experiencing. It was simply how my body had been conditioned to experience life. The more we understand this, the more different energies, aka frequencies, we experience all information without taking any of it personally, the safer we become. This happens simply because we are re-educating the brain and nervous system so that they slowly stop reacting and begin to respond to situations. While we continue to react, subconsciously we remain a victim to our past. As a result of becoming safer with all sorts of feelings, slowly the nervous little boy grew out of his highly anxious state. Can you imagine the change that this brought about in his life? If you are still lost in anxiety, probably not. For if we can imagine something truly that it becomes our reality. The inner peace that arose opened so many more doors to understanding, no longer needing to hide away, no more defending an indefensible position. It was not just anxiety that is no longer a part of my life. There are so many changes on so many levels. I begin to see life through very different eyes, no longer have the same expectations, no longer judged to the same degree by others. It is hard to describe just how profound is the liberation from the past. Amongst other things, a much quieter mind, no busy chit-chat, no having to decide this or that as life unfolds more effortlessly. In Buddhist terms, not this, not that. A great trust in the unfolding of a life that is not ruled by anxiety is a major step closer to creating a new reality, one which I can share with others, to whatever degree they can let go of their own past. To no longer be limited by old stories that may have held true in the past but have no place in the future. It is an opportunity to create a very different world, not just for me but for all those ready to take this step out of a known chaotic past into a new, as yet little known future. Join me, a brave new world.